My name is Eric Saylor, and I'm running to be elected the next Port Edwards Village president. I've lived in the village my entire life, and I've chose to raise my family here. I graduated from the John Edwards High School in Port Edwards in 1994. After graduation, I enlisted in the Navy, where I spent over 20 years on active and reserve duty, all in the IT field. I've also been on the fire department for over 20 years, and I serve in the role as a captain. I've also coached youth sports for all three of my boys. I've coached baseball, basketball, and football, different times for all three of them. I am a graduate of Midstate in 2008. I graduated with an associate's in civil engineering and will graduate this May from Lakeland University with my bachelor in science and computer science. Currently, I'm the director of technology for the Nakusa School District, where I support over 1,500 student and staff with their technology and resources needed for all 5 buildings on the campus. In that role, I manage a tech budget of over $1 million for devices, resources, and services. I'm a say it like it is kind of guy. I don't like to beat around the bush, and sometimes my mouth has gotten me in trouble. But people want me to be able to give an honest answer from others, and sometimes those answers are not what they may want to hear. I will not answer a question or say something in a meeting to turn around and tell somebody something different just because that's what they wanted to hear. I've been around a lot of different leadership styles, and to be honest, an open book tends to be more successful in my experience.
My name is Betsy Mansell. My family and I have made Port Edwards our home. We have really enjoyed living in a community with that it takes a village atmosphere. We really enjoy the fact that we can keep our kids safe, pitching in and helping in our community, whether it's a goal or just a volunteer event, and just enjoying each other's company and that close-knit, neighbor-like feel that Port Edwards does have. When I was first elected in 2019 as village trustee, I made the promise to the village and the residents that I have a commitment to this community and I want to contribute to reaching our village's potential. That still holds true today. I still believe in every effort of that, and that will hold true going forward. I would like the opportunity to be able to lead our village board with a common sense approach and with a respectful and collaborative mindset. One major problem that I constantly hear about is the property taxes and the cost of living in the village. Honestly, that's in the next question, so I'm going to address that one a little later on. But I'm going to talk about the concern people have about communication efforts with the village. I think we've done a great job on starting with, we had our quarterly newsletter, we have our website, which is great. Coming into the village or onto the village board in 2019, I did suggest that we add a Facebook page. We can get information out quickly, rapidly, more of on a daily or weekly basis instead of quarterly. That's really gone over well, I think, and we've been able to reach a lot of our residents and even hear back from them, getting feedbacks, getting surveys out. So there's been a great communication tool. We do have a GoGov app now too that also sends out alerts if you sign up for that, whether it's a main break, storm damage, whatever it is. And then we have recently just launched our own YouTube channel where we can put our village board meetings up for you guys to access instead of trying to just find it in a clunky website that we do have. Our website does need to be addressed. It is kind of hard to navigate if you're not used to it. So a little refresher and a little bit more user-friendly would be ideal for us. I know that I think having a monthly snapshot email, bulk email, go out would be helpful because again, those quarterly newsletters obviously are just quarterly. So having something maybe on a monthly thing, this was the breakdown of what happened in the village this month. Kind of breaks down our meeting minutes, because if you try to read our meeting minutes, sometimes you don't get the whole context of it. Sometimes it's hard to understand, like what does that mean? So I think having a broken down version of that sent out monthly as an option and post it on Facebook would be helpful as well. I know I've personally made it a mission to share our agendas and what's going on in the village on my personal Facebook page, and I will continue to do that regardless. I really want to get resident involvement as much as possible. I think that's key in helping us drive what goals we're trying to reach, and hearing from the residents is key in my book. And I really do enjoy seeing residents come to our meetings, because that means that we can have that two-way communication a little bit more readily.
I like to say taxes, but I can talk about that in the next question. So I will say transparency as being the most thing that needs to be addressed. Everybody seems to throw that word around freely during election season. When I was first elected as a trustee in 2015, the meetings from the village board meetings were not being recorded. So residents just assumed that things were happening behind their backs, which was untrue. But the meeting minutes sometimes do not paint the entire picture, as discussions are being had around those meeting minutes and decisions that are being made. So in 2016, a contract was signed with Rapids Community Media, and the monthly meetings were being recorded after that. After September 22, that stopped for some reason. And after I questioned, I was told that the minutes are the only thing that need to be made public. The village created its own YouTube page on March 2nd, 2023. And January and February's meetings are the only ones that are posted so far. So I'm questioning why October, November, and December's meetings haven't been added to either that site or were never put on the Rapids Media site. It kind of looks like we're doing stuff behind residents' backs again. And I'd like to assume not, but October, November, and December meetings are important, because what happened in those meetings was we had discussions about the budget and other happenings. And we need to be more transparent to people, and that falls on us. Moving forward, I'd like to see that all the meetings, which are currently being recorded now, be posted for residents to watch on their time. Since we have early meetings, some people may not be able to get out of work in time, or maybe because of their health or age, they're unable to attend. Everybody has a right to be part of that conversation and voice their concerns. Elected officials can keep using the word transparent, but it doesn't mean a thing if meetings are not televised or minutes don't include the entire conversation, so residents can see how they vote or the discussions that they continue to have. We all need to be transparent in how we vote and be able to support our reasoning back to those residents. Residents need to hold the local government and village residents responsible for decisions, me included. I'd also like to implement some kind of monthly open resident discussion where the president and the administrator could be available without a quorum to discuss residents' concerns or an explanation of why certain decisions were made. An example of that is the wheel tax. I've had a lot of questions on the wheel tax, and the reason that we implemented a wheel tax is to get away from the special assessments. Also from these discussions, a list of goals could be developed and assigned to specific committees and put on their agendas for those discussions. I'd also like to clean and make simpler the website. It's kind of confusing right now, and I want to be able to have a one-stop shop for all the needs of those residents to find the information that they are looking for. A couple hours here and there, and the work that is being done by the village and board could be easily accessible by everybody. First and foremost, we need to prioritize spending and concentrate on the village infrastructure and economic development. We cannot keep adding staff and continue to pay top dollar for employees to keep up with neighboring municipalities and/or departments. It's just unsustainable, as we have only so many tax dollars coming in each year. Do you know that a 3% staff raise that is approved accounts for approximately $30,000, while operating budgets continue to be cut each year? We have major road projects upcoming to replace aging utilities and the equipment that needs to be replaced or updated in multiple departments. And most of these projects reside out of the TIF district, so we can't rely on those funds either. Where is all this money going to come from if we keep investing in pay raises and additional staff? Department budgets get cut every year, but salaries rarely do. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against paying great wages for hiring additional staff, but you need to show me where those cuts are going to come from to support those staffing needs and those pay raises. For example, There's been talks about adding a 4th police officer. I'm not against that. But with wages and benefits, the cost is going to be over $100,000. Show me where it's going to be cut from the existing budget, and we can continue to talk about this new position. It can't come from grants or loans because those eventually dry up. If we could find a funding source that we can rely on every year, I'd be 100% for it. We can only spend what we collect each year, and by raising the millage rate to support the spending cannot continue, as it will drive more people out of town than people back into town.
So keeping property taxes and the cost of living low is kind of hard to navigate. The state kind of comes in and tells us what we can or cannot charge for levy and millage rate and all that. Property taxes in Port Edwards have always been high. That's not a secret. We were told that when we moved into Port Edwards. But with that, the village also offers a higher level of services and amenities to our community, such as the brush pickup, the sucker truck, we have to maintain a splash pad in the park system that we have. And it's not comparable to the other villages or municipalities around us. We offer more for us. Unfortunately, like I said, some of that isn't in the control. The state tells us what we can and can't do. And then with that property taxes, the county gets their slice of the pie. Obviously, with that new jail coming in, that increased things. So last year, it was a 9.4% increase in the county property taxes. Mid-State Technical College also gets a slice at that pie. So then that was a 3.7% increase last year. Then we do have our school district that we support. We did pass that referendum, and that was a 4.4% increase last year. All at the end of the day, we as a village only raised our portion 1.8%. With that amount of money that's left, we have to make the village run. We have to pay our employees competitive wages and fair wages. That way they continue to choose Port Edwards as a place of employment. That way we're not paying for overturn, the cost of overturn. So that's training somebody, that's time and all that. So keeping our employees satisfied with what they're getting paid and the benefits is a huge asset. And we don't have that issue where we have a high turnover rate. We also have to maintain and update our aging infrastructure. That costs a lot of money when you have to rip up streets and replace the piping in the water lines and stuff like that. We have to maintain all the parks, so mowing, picking up, all the brush and stuff like that, plowing the snow, and then we also have to set aside money for emergency type situations. So trying to take that small piece of the pie that we have and making it work for our entire village can be cumbersome and can be a struggle. We've all felt that increase at the store in our own homes, and the village has also felt that. We have a 15% increase in just the projects, what the projects cost us. That's a huge jump with with that pot of money that we're allowed to have. Luckily, we are very blessed with our Public Works Department. They end up saving us money by doing a lot of the work themselves, so we don't have to have that in the project bid or hiring somebody else to do that. So that really saves us a lot of money. And again, having the people employed by our village with those skill sets to help with that is fantastic. We have to continue to utilize our capital improvement plans to be able to forecast what things do need to do with the big projects that we do need to do, approximately how much it's going to cost, how much time it's going to cost. All that takes time and effort, and if we don't plan accordingly, that costs us more money because now we're in this crunch time. So again, appropriate planning for those bigger projects is helpful. Obviously, there's some situations that pop up that we can't control, but we have to, again, do our best with that situation. I'd like to get the most bang for our buck, per se, when we're buying vehicles for our village crew, our police cruisers, or our big equipment, the dump trucks, the lawnmowers, all that, making sure that we're reading the reviews, getting a good product, maintaining that product, taking care of that, and using it to the best of our abilities. I don't see a sense of getting a new vehicle every 10 years just because. I think it needs to be, does it still work? Does it do the job that it needs to do? And I think increasing that longevity of those bigger pieces of equipment and those vehicles is a cost saver in some cases. We have to do something about getting that shared revenue to come back to the smaller municipalities instead of just staying in Madison and Milwaukee. According to Senator Teston, when he was at our meeting in February, February 14th actually, when the shared revenue was first put into place, there was a 90% of that was supposed to come back to local municipalities. Right now, that's 5% is coming back to us. So we really need to, as your elected officials, we need to really start advocating, talking with our state representatives and trying to figure out a better solution on how to get that money back to us, because it is a strain to try to run a municipality with that limited amount of funds that we do have. We need to continue to search and reach out other funding sources, grants, federal dollars, do what we can that way to help lessen the burden of our budget with different projects. So just supplementing that with the grants, federal dollars, and again, maintaining what we do have, wisely spending our money on equipment and our employees is going to help with that. So to help facilitate bringing new businesses into our community is smart and consistent marketing of what we have available. It's generally a pretty cheap option as well. It's you're collaborating with realtors, with other municipalities, with the business owners that we currently have, saying, hey, this is what we have available. So if somebody comes asking, let them know. We also need to make sure that we are supporting the local businesses that we do have by sharing what they're doing by word of mouth, supporting them, sharing on social media, and all the things that we're up to. Positive interactions and support by a community can help the established businesses flourish, and with that, help attract other businesses as well. This is kind of a village-wide effort, in my opinion. Businesses are more likely to be attracted to our community if they see a positive interaction with neighboring businesses, with the residents that are there supporting them, with the village board, with the village resident or village staff. Because if you make it hard to work with them, they're not going to want to come here. They don't want to, if they're starting a business or they're trying to expand, they don't want to jump through any more hoops than they have to. So being a board that makes good policies, good decisions, and is inclusive and welcoming will really set us up for success in that avenue. We've done a great job as a board lately making sure that we are investing into our business district, using our TIF funds that are specifically for revitalizing our business district, downtown Market Avenue, and not using our taxpayer dollars. We purchased some properties in that business district, kind of redid them a little bit, put them up to code in hopes of selling them back to a local business so that we have, again, more businesses. That helps with the tax income, and that kind of stuff. It's making decisions like that instead of letting businesses or old businesses and buildings fall into disrepair, become an eyesore. Now it's a problem. Now we have to try to demolish it or get rid of it somehow, because no business wants to come in and have that as their first big hurdle, is to now take care of an aging building that nobody has been taking care of in a long time. And again, making sure that we are making those policies and decisions that impact the existing businesses as well as potentially new ones. Thankfully, our village administrator has a really strong skill set in that kind of work and has made a significant progress in that area for our community. We've had, the El Cafe restaurant just opened up, which is great. And every time I drive by in the morning or at lunch, there's always cars there, which is fantastic. We'll have a coffee shop following shortly. And then again, once other businesses kind of see like, hey, Port Edwards is kind of where I kind of want to be. It's a good middle ground between Wisconsin Rapids and Nakusa. So I think we have options, and we just have to be really smart in planning how we invest into that. And again, positively influencing that kind of behavior of supporting local businesses.
First and foremost, DMI has gone on way too long, and now some of their buildings are up for sheriff's auction due to unpaid taxes. Something needs to be done with the admin and the computer buildings. Those are discussions that we'll have to have. The YMCA is also looking to be shuttered. We need to work with new leadership at the Y to figure out what direction they're going and what their vision will be with their current building in Port Edwards. My property committee in the last couple of months has been purchasing some downtown businesses via the $250,000 that is available to us for economic development as with the TIF agreement. And we only purchase those properties only after leases have been signed. It's better for the village to make those decisions on who can purchase those buildings instead of sitting vacant and falling apart, as with other properties as you see in the village. We don't need a big business. Target is not going to come to Port Edwards. We need to think small to create big solutions. We need small business to fill empty buildings and to create the missing tax revenue. Maybe a second location of a successful business. Take, for instance, Mission Coffee. They're looking to come into Port Edwards to expand their business. The other thing that I would propose is the bridge that would connect Port Edwards to other areas. 20 years ago it was approved, and it almost went through with the support of representatives in the area at the time. But it was canceled by Governor Doyle because of a high-speed rail that was proposed from Madison to Milwaukee. Fast forward a couple years, and it almost went through again. But it was not signed off from other village or city leaders because of neighboring municipalities had to protect some private business interests. Now, let's talk about today. I'm looking to bring it back with the support of some new government officials in office and push for the new state bridges support that's in the new budget. What would this do? We could use it to promote the business park at the DMI location. We have businesses that are interested, but they do not have the available access of roads to support their location. Also with that, it's going to divert large truck traffic. So the highway and River Drive areas and even some roads through rapids will be able to last longer because of the less usage of those bigger trucks. Another option we could possibly do is run sewer and wastewater utilities and water underneath that bridge to support other municipalities that currently do not have a wastewater and sewer plant. That could also lower our sewage rates and water. And the other thing to think about with the bridge is safety. If you think about the roundabout in Rapids getting shut down, ERCO has a chemical spill, and the wind is blowing in the right direction, us as Port Edwards residents do not have a way to get out safely. I would propose that we push that bridge through. I think that would help facilitate new businesses. My vision for growth would be the successful transition of the Nepco Lake residents back to the village on January 1, 2024, and having those residents be a part of our village discussions. We also need to spend money wisely to keep up with the capital outlay projects and equipment because costs of road projects and that equipment continue to rise year after year. We also need to figure out the downtown or business park and market ourselves properly. We need to stand apart from other communities and show the stakeholders why they need to invest in the village of Port Edwards. There's a lot of naysayers out there, but we need to come up with an economic incentives for businesses to come and lay roots here. It has happened in other towns. Why can't it happen to ours?
So my vision for growth within the Port Edwards community, I really want to just see our village flourish. I want to build our tax revenue base while protecting that unique and small town feel that we have grown to love and really enjoy, and that's why people are attracted to Port Edwards. We'll be growing. We will be growing at the beginning of next year, regaining that Nepco Lake property back to the village. That will bring in additional village residents, that will bring an increase into our tax base back, but we also need to make sure that we're providing the same quality of services to that area as well. So again, we have to really be intentful and plan well when that comes back to us, and even ahead of that, and we've already made steps towards making a good plan. The revitalization of our business district is bringing a fresh excitement to the village, which is so fun to watch and to be a part of. By adding businesses, we also add to that tax base. Again, Getting the community's input on a lot of these things would be ideal. I would love to have a listening session and having residents bring their ideas to the table and what can happen and what they want to see happen. I want to maintain that quaint small town feel, but then I still want to be able to bring in some businesses that we can support locally and invest into our local economy. I would appreciate the support from our village residents. I have shown that I'm a person of integrity and trust. I make sure that I maintain connections with our community in a multitude of different ways because I love engaging with our residents, getting their feedback, good, bad, or indifferent, just hearing what they have to say, what their opinions are, and that's the whole goal and the whole point of being an elected official. I'm motivated to make this community the best that it can be for my family, for your family, for future families and generations to come. I'm always aware that what we decide on today will impact our future. Again, positively or negatively, that's just something I've always kept in the back of my mind. What is the big picture plan here? What is the big picture goal? I've voted in making these smart investments into our community. I'm very proud of voting to hire some qualified individuals into the key roles of our village, and those decisions have stabilized our leadership and set us up for success. I was one of the board members who did vote in favor of hiring our police chief, who had a big task ahead of him. He kind of had to start the department up from ground level and really build that. And he's done a great job in building that back up to be a department that we can rely on and that is trustworthy. The decision to hire him was also a financially sound investment, as he nearly eliminated overtime and continually gives back money from his budget every year. In 2022, that last year, he was able to return the just over 32,000, quite frankly, almost 33,000, back to the village because he was a good steward of our village budget, and he managed that well. And he's got a commitment to our community, being that he lives in our community. Hiring our public works director was another good investment that we did make. Again, he's a hometown guy. He wants to be here, and he's here for the village. Mr. Martinson and his crew are really dedicated and have the best for our village. They work hard throughout the year to beautifully maintain our village. It's really a lot of work in the dead heat of the middle of the summer, working on projects, making sure that they're getting up early to plow our streets and salt our streets, so that we can safely get to school and get to work. And it's just a many things. I think they're very underappreciated, and I try to make sure that I appreciate them as much as I can. Our village administrator, another hire that I voted yes for, has brought a level of professionalism to our village that is second to none. He works very hard on advocating for our village, in networking with local municipalities in the League of Wisconsin of municipalities. He's continually searching for funding sources through grants and helping supplement our budget. And in 2022, there was over $50,000 of grants brought into the village to help supplement our budget, and really got us a good amount of work done for that. I'm asking for your vote on April 4th to become the next village president. I want to continue to make our village go in a positive direction. I don't want to take our village backwards and take steps back. We need to continually go forward. What sets me apart in this race for village board president is my commitment to transparency, integrity, and inclusivity. I don't just say these words in a campaign to get me elected, but I live this out in my daily life. For example, I'm constantly sharing the village stuff, making sure that we are being transparent as a board, sharing what we're doing, the agendas, clips of our videos, answering questions, answering phone calls, because I want to be that person, and I think that's what this position deserves. I am able to look at all sides of all the issues. I'm very willing to be an open-minded and listen to what people have to share around me, because again, this is a team-like effort. It's not just what the village board president says, it's the whole village board. In this role, you must be able to separate yourself from conflicting personal interests and staying focused on the interests of the entire village. You have to be able to work collaboratively as a team. That's with, again, the board members, that's with committee members, commission work, the village staff as well. The village president must be able to lead the board and put the village's interests first. I believe that I've shown that I can do that in the ways that I have voted, and I've worked in collaboration with others to bring our village forward. So again, I ask for your vote April 4th.
I'm vested here and I pay regular taxes every year, just like you. I pay the same water and sewer bills, just like you. Decisions that are made from the board about village business affect me also, just like you. And I feel there are areas that are being funded rather than others. I'm not going to spend funds just to spend funds. And we all need to be fiscally responsible, and my track record has shown that. We need to plan for the future and not just for today. I'm often outvoted when it comes to making budget decisions, as the easiest vote a trustee can make is to side with the majority than to stand apart and be not afraid to go against the grain. There have been times where I have personal feelings towards a certain agenda item, but I have been elected to be the voice of the residents and have and will vote accordingly. I do not have a personal agenda, nor will I ever have one. I've also heard some questions regarding, if I'm elected, the conflict of interest that may arise with the fire department. As per the League of Municipalities, our village and our village attorney, a trustee or spouse that is paid in another capacity by the village, and in my case as a fireman, cannot be paid more than $15,000 per year by the fire department, and if elected as a president, no more than $2,500 per year. I did not become a fireman to make money, nor did any of us on our department. Us as firemen have spent thousands of hours of training to become qualified to become a fireman and serve in another capacity for our village. We did it for being able to respond to a resident in their time of need. I've always abstained and limited my discussion from any vote that pertained to anything that I or my family would benefit from. And with that being said, I've talked to the fire chief and will be willing to transition to 100% volunteer status. I would still respond to calls, meetings, and drills, but would not be compensated for any of it if I was elected to be your next village president. Also, we are currently looking for anybody interested in becoming a Port Edwards Fire Department. Just get a hold of me or chief. I'd like to thank Wisconsin Rapids community and Joe for making this happen. With your vote, I'm looking towards the future because the work does not stop. I want to continue and fight for the village to be successful as it can be, both now and in the future. I hope to carry on your trust in me as a new village president as we look towards the bright future of this great community. Thanks, and don't forget to vote April 4th.